welcome to AI for UX. This is the space where UX researchers and product leaders stay current with AI innovation. So I'm John Whalen, and I'm the founder of Brilliant Experience, and we're a psychology-driven product innovation firm. So personally, I've struggled to keep up with the new AI tools for UX research, and I'm guessing I'm not alone, and that's why I started this. In each session, we speak to the founder of one of the latest AI enhanced or AI first research tools and dive into the inspiration and how it might benefit you, and ultimately think about where the field is headed. So just a quick note, all these videos are not product endorsements, and we pay full price for any technologies we use, and no one's getting paid. It's just to learn more about the technology together. So with that, let's get started. So I'll bring in, welcome Kathryn. And so Kathryn Topp is the CEO and founder of Yabble, and with exciting news about Yabble. And this tool provides virtual audiences that give insights in minutes and a suite of AI tools that allow you to analyze your data 1,000 times faster than a human. So thank you so much, Kathryn, for agreeing to join me and talk about this.
No problem. It's my pleasure. I always love talking about data and AI, so very, very excited to be here.
Well, excellent. And I think with that, we should probably dive right into Yabble. And so maybe you can tell me a little bit about who the sort of target audience is for your product and the kinds of pain points it addresses.
Yeah, fantastic. So for people who haven't heard of Yabble before, so we're an AI platform built specifically for insights, and we create AI solutions for all stages of insights from data creation. So if you don't have data and you just have a research question or a user question that you want to know the answer to, you can pop that into the Yabble platform and uses our virtual audience and our augmented data model to provide you with personas and answers. But then we also have a very sophisticated suite of analytics tools that can process data 1,000 times faster than a human. So you can get all of that great user feedback, UX, product discovery work, testing, all of that feedback put through our engines and pull that insight out very quickly. So Yabble was, so a little bit about maybe if I start with
Yeah,
who I am and where my
sure.
background is, and then I can talk about why we created Yabble. So I'm a researcher at heart, so 25 plus years in the research industry, working with data and insights. And throughout that whole process, I've had the privilege of working with some of the world's biggest brands and worked across multiple different categories on lots of really interesting problems. But I used to get asked kind of, what do you do for a living? And I'd say, well, ultimately I get paid to think. So I get paid to kind of understand problems
Mm-hmm.
and really think about them and help brands ideate the future of their products and their positioning. And so with that though, there was always things slowing me down. There was always I'd collect all this data and there'd be a lot of time that we'd have to spend in researching it, or you'd get to the end of a project that you kind of had a hunch, but you didn't have time to go back and really interrogate the data. And I guess those are the types of problems that we're solving when we created Yabble. Yabble was all about helping researchers or people who work with data, whether they identify as kind of researchers or not, essentially giving them back a lot of thinking time, allowing them to essentially create insight at the speed of thought. So it was about accelerating speed to insight, providing really easy to use solutions to work with unstructured data, which historically has been quite difficult in the insights marketplace. And then with our latest product, virtual audiences, it was really around solving the problem of kind of accessing data not only at speed, but often hard to reach audiences. So kind of creating different avenues for data collection and creating rich kind of knowledge. We call them knowledge lakes, rich kind of lakes of knowledge that users can go into and start interacting with in answering research questions.
Yeah, I think it's such a broad product. I'm impressed at your succinctness. So that's awesome. I actually did want to ask, just in general, do you feel like this is targeted more at the sort of consumer products kind of space, or product innovation, or is it really all sorts of folks are using Yabble?
So from an industry sector point of view, so we are industry agnostic. So any sector can use our product. And then in terms of who our core users are from a kind of using the tools for insights. So we work a lot with big brands and across their organizations. So we obviously have a home inside of the insights kind of function in a brand, so the consumer insights function. But then we do work with product teams who are looking at collecting interviews with their users or running product surveys or ideating in and around ideas. So we work often with the innovations and the product teams, and then also the data or the customer teams. So ultimately, anyone who is collecting data or has data is can be a customer of Yabble.
Mm-hmm. And just to give you a sense, I know we'll be seeing the product in a few minutes, but can you just describe a typical scenario when a product team or an insights team might be using your tool?
Absolutely. So, I mean, a classic one for a product team is they may be doing some contextual inquiry, or they might be reviewing a new product feature, and they could be doing some interviews with users, testing out a wireframe and getting feedback in and around that. So they can pull all of that recording of that interview straight into the Yabble toolset and get kind of a summary of that interview within a couple of minutes in a very reliable format, much more reliable than most of the other products in market in terms of the accuracy of the transcript. And we've also designed it so that it is designed for insight. So not only will you get kind of a summary and understanding of the interview, but you'll actually get it summarized in a way that's really useful for you from an end user point of view. So it will have your key insights, it will have your key challenges, kind of key opportunities at an executive level, so across all of the interviews that you've done, but also at an individual interview level as well. So you can break it down across those different avenues. So it's just one use case. There's actually
Yeah,
so many use cases for Yabble
right.
in terms of what you can do.
Yeah, I know it's taken me a little while to learn because it's quite extensive and it's a really interesting. So, well, I guess I had a question saying, what makes your product unique? And I think there are lots of things, but I guess I did want you to focus on your virtual audience and how that works and how that might be different than some others.
Absolutely. So we brought our virtual audience product to market in just earlier this year, actually, and we'd been working on it for around kind of 12 to 18 months of R&D and validation work behind it. So it's got a lot of rigor in terms of how it creates data. But what we wanted to do was in the age of AI, it felt like we were missing an opportunity if we didn't bring a tool to market that essentially could answer a research question or an insight question without going through a lot of the traditional steps of research field work. So what the virtual audience product does is you can so say you've got a new idea for a product or a new feature, or you want to understand the experience of your product versus your competitors, you literally just type that topic in of what you want to know, decide if you just want a general insight from the marketplace or if you want to create virtual consumers that you can interact with on that product. So it's very powerful. It completely transforms the way that you've probably collected insights in the past. And it opens up avenues to do a lot more research and a lot more faster research. And so the Yabble model works. We have an augmented data framework that we've created that's proprietary to Yabble. And essentially, you put your topic in. We use a large language model for context only, so to help the AI understand what the topic is and what we want to find out. But we don't pull data from a large language model. We actually have two of our own data frameworks that we work to. One is a leading indicators framework, and that takes kind of the macro level topics in and around your question, and it pulls and gathers data at a macro level. So what are the big trends that might influence behavior? Then we do a market insight. So it takes it much more granular around maybe the brand or the topic or the experience that we're focused on. And then as a user, you can also upload your own proprietary data in. So say you've done some of your own interviews and you want to add those into the data set as well. And that builds a big knowledge lake. We call it a knowledge lake because it's not raw data, it's processed data. It's been synthesized for the AI. and the AI then uses that to create audiences, to answer questions, to create research summaries, all of those things that the user's looking for.
And this is actually one of the reasons I felt really, I don't know, lucky or delighted to interview you is and hear about Yabble is you've got a drawing on your website that has a sort of curvy road that's got field work and other things, and otherwise just like ask a question, get an answer. And so I did want to ask you for the I'm from a major consumer company or something, or even, we often work with them to do the research. How should we think about approaching the problem differently? And how would I work, just how do I work differently once I have your tool?
Yeah, so I mean, just like any kind of research, you need to pick the right tool for the problem that you're trying to solve or the information you're trying to gather. So, first of all, we kind of need to understand that what we want to do is right for virtual audiences, and so kind of use cases right now are where you want to do some exploratory work. So it might be market understanding, it might be getting some background information around the brand or the audience or trends or behaviors in marketplace. Or it might be starting off some concept testing of ideas or idea filtering. Those are kind of really common use cases for the virtual audience product. And then essentially it's as easy as just asking a question and the AI will do the rest for you. And it takes around 30 minutes in total to go from your question through to setting up your audience and gathering your insight. And then from there, you have an insight report ready to go. And you also have the ability to interact and chat with personas like you would in I guess, traditional research forum or any of those bits and pieces. So we use a lot of publicly available data sources. We pull those together to create our kind of initial knowledge lake. As I said, you can bring in your own data as well to bring in your proprietary data. And then with the recent YouGov acquisition of Yabble, we obviously in the future will have access to all of the richness and the proprietary nature of the YouGov data, which is some of the world's best kind of quality data from understanding consumers, understanding brands, understanding behavior point of view. So that will also go into fueling these audiences into the future as well.
Interesting. And yeah, there's a whole nother question there. I'll ask when I ask a little more about yourself about this transition for Yabble. But one of the things actually I did want to ask is, are there situations where you're like, yes, it's sorry, what I'm trying to say is, when might you be doing traditional field work versus using your tool? So are there situations you think each are best at, or is this notion of the old school field work old school?
So I think they sit complementary, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. So there's certainly times when the virtual audience product would replace traditional research, and that may be often at the beginning of a product, or if you've got a project that you just need to go really fast. So we can turn around in a day to 2 days with kind of custom analysis, what would traditionally take 3 to 4 weeks. So
Mm-hmm.
it's where you're looking for speed, where you're looking for exploratory, where you might be at the beginning of a project. So example might be you've got 20 ideas and you don't know which of those ideas you are going to be most appealing to your target customers. So you might take those 20 ideas and put them through the virtual process, give you kind of 3 really strong territories to then take to market and do more traditional research with at an in-depth level. So that's a great example of the two tools working kind of in a complementary way.
Mm-hmm.
Or it might be, your competitors just launched a feature. So one of the key things about virtual audiences is that we have a recency bias in it. So what I mean by that is if something happens today, essentially, if it happens in the morning and the afternoon, you're likely to be able to pick it up in virtual audiences. It's very, very sensitive to changes over time. So if a competitor's brought a new product out or a new feature out and you really want to kind of get a understanding of it, you can do that very fast through the virtual audience tool, and same with your own products as well. So say you've introduced a new feature and you want some early feedback at a market level, you can pull that through from the virtual audience product as well.
And my last question before I'm really interested in seeing a demo is, thinking about this notion of hallucinations or bias, I understood not necessarily the technology, but how your sort of approach to dealing with these kind of issues with AI.
Yeah, so I mean, we're born from an insights background, and so the accuracy of data and the reliability and repeatability of data is something that we've always worked very hard with inside of the Yabble tools. And a lot of the validation and R&D work that we do for any of our products is making sure that, one, we've minimized hallucination as much as possible. And I would say the Yabble tools very rarely, if ever, kind of hallucinate. And two, we've created a really repeatable and reliable suite of products for people. So they know that when they go in, they're going to get the output consistently in terms of understanding that insight. So for us, we do a lot of, I guess, human training when we're building our tools. We do a lot of reinforcement learning, feedback to the AI. We also, for our analytics tool, we build a much more deterministic framework for the AI. So what I mean by that is it looks and references the data that's gone into it to understand the insight. We don't allow it to go and kind of outside of that data to essentially provide an answer for the users. It's much more deterministic based on the data that's gone in. For the virtual audience product, we have a number of kind of safeguards and guardrails that we put in and around the product based on both the way that we gather data, but also the types of topics that we allow the AI to generate. So we won't allow it to kind of create fanciful topics, for example. So if you wanted to do a project about cats on Mars, then obviously it would come back to you and say that that isn't something that it's available for it to research because it knows that it's not a real world thing. So we do a lot of testing, a lot of guardrails, a lot of testing against traditional methods as well. So we do a lot of validation work to say, if I was going to run this in a traditional way, what would be the key insights and understanding I'd get? And then if I run it through the virtual audience process, how does that compare? Am I getting the same type of insight? Can I make the same type of decisions on it? Because that's ultimately really important for our end users.
Interesting, yeah, and we've at Brilliant ran something similar, trying to really be experimental, and we're cognitive psychologists, so no, that's super interesting. And back when dinosaurs roamed the earth and I did my PhD, I did machine learning work for it, and so I'm hearing some of the approaches you've got, and it sounds very reasonable. So it's very cool. Well, enough about me. Maybe I can work on sharing your screen, and you could show us a little bit about how I'd approach this kind of research and how it works.
Sure thing. Let me just
Okay.
hang on a moment. Oh,
Sure.
hang on. I'm just for some reason my my Yabble screen's disappeared. Let me make sure I can find that again.
Sure.
There we go. That's the one we want. Right. Hopefully you've got the right screen there now.
Yeah, so here, maybe you can show it to us now. There we go. Okay, great. So sure, feel free
Perfect.
to, maybe you can remind me of the sort of scenario that you were thinking about and kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, this is for those of you who haven't been on Yabble before, this is the Yabble kind of homepage when you come in. As I said, we can do everything from data analytics through to data creation. So I'll give you a little bit of a whirlwind of all of the tools because I think there's use cases across both for the audience that listens to this webinar and podcast. So if you already have data within Yabble, we've got our suite of analysis tools. We can either hook those up through APIs or you can bring them in project by project. And when you want to do kind of a project with the data that you have, you can either bring it in for automated theming and coding. So that's if you've got big swathes of survey research or review data, or any kind of form of, we call it short form unstructured data, you can bring that in here and it will automatically theme it and code it. I think it's probably the most accurate product on the market in terms of giving a really succinct code frame for that data to help you really analyze it and understand it. We also have an agent. So we have our tool called Gen, which is an AI agent. and this tool is built to kind of do lots of tasks. At the moment, it's built primarily around allowing you to mine both long form and short form data. In the near future, we'll start opening it up to allow you to start mining structured data, which I'm personally really excited about, so it can be able to talk across lots of different data sets. And then our summarize tool, which is the one that works across those different interview products. And I'm going to just start with this to kind of showcase what that looks like. So if you come in here, so say you've just done a piece of work exploring lots of user interviews around a product idea. So we can take those interviews in voice or video format. You literally pop them up. It will automatically translate them, transcribe them, and then it will create these nice insight summaries for you. And this here has got 11 interviews. This is a project I did talking with researchers actually around this idea if they had superpowers. So you just give the AI a little bit of context, and then it will create an overarching summary for you. So and written with the insight in mind. So this isn't just a general summary. It's been written and designed to essentially give you key insights from an insight researcher kind of framework. So it looks at key findings, it looks at key challenges or pain points that people need to overcome, opportunities that might exist in and around that data, and then an overall conclusion kind of on that data as well. And it does that at a holistic level. So each time you add interviews, it will add to this overall executive summary. And then it will also jump through and look at individual interviews as well if you want to focus on any particular user groups. From here, you can start chatting with the data if you want to. So we can use our Gen tool there, and Gen's designed to essentially just come in here and say, what are the main superpowers want. So I can just start kind of interacting with this data and understanding all of this. And this tool here, as I said, is built to be very deterministic. So it works across and looks at the data that essentially we give it to understand and provide an answer to the question. I'm sure just because I'm on a video call, it's taking a little bit longer than it ordinarily would.
Well, and Kathryn, let me ask really quickly. One of the things that I guess has come up in comments and stuff is it possible to think about different audiences with it? So if you interviewed folks that were at large companies versus small ones, for example, in this case, I didn't know if it's designed to have sort of different segments that it thinks of differently, or even help you to create those.
Absolutely. So across there's lots of different ways we can kind of get to different audience groups. So one way is to we can filter and kind of understand the data that way. We're just part of the ability to read structured data is to open up the option to start talking to this data across different segments as well. So that will be coming in the next few weeks. But essentially, this tool is designed just to quickly get to the different corners of your data. If we wanted to look at the data in a little bit more detail, we can jump into the Explore tool that allows us to really kind of dig into whatever our research question might have been. This is a piece of work that we collected on Walmart. What do people love most about Walmart? Not surprisingly, kind of affordable prices coming through. To look at different subgroups in here, we can quickly just add different filter variables. So it might be that their demographics. So I might ask a little bit about where people shop, what their age range is, all of those different bits and pieces. So you can easily kind of filter subgroups there and then start interacting and chatting with that data, as well as looking at it at a full closed-ended basis as well. So this here takes all of your review data, your survey product feedback data, all of that. It will automatically theme it and code it. It's been designed to have a really short tail. A lot of products that you might see or use on the market with AI will bring data in, and it will give you a really long tail of data. We've worked very hard at Yabble to kind of condense that down, and we've just released actually a 6th version of this product that essentially replicates the human coding process very, very well and keeps it nice and condensed and easy to work with from a data point of view. And it will look at this at a holistic level, but also kind of go down into sub-theme levels as well. and you can trace it back to the original kind of feedback that people's given, and you can kind of have the ability here to interact with it. You can change some of those sentiments if you want to. You can actually jump in here and edit and override as well. So it gives you the ability to customize as well as to let the AI do all of the heavy lifting for you. So those are some of the kind of quick tools for analytics. So if you've got your data, you can kind of bring it in and start interacting. But I know one of the tools you really wanted to see was our new virtual audience product. So that tool there, over there. Essentially, you come in here with your research topic. So you literally just push this button and you say, I want to understand the latest trends in product design research, for example. So that could be your topic. You might say, if you wanted to focus in on an audience, you might say focused on the US and the consumer. So you can be as specific or as general as you want to be in here. The more this is all about kind of helping the AI understand what you want it to go and find information on for you. So if you do want it to be specific to a particular industry or a particular country, then it's a good idea to put that in here. You do have opportunities later to do that as well. And so it is literally as quick as pressing next, and then you can just jump in and decide if you just want to market insight report, which gives you a general understanding of the marketplace, or if you want to create a whole kind of virtual audience where you can interview your audience, you can chat with them, you can kind of basically create a whole lot of new data. And it takes about 30 minutes to go through this whole process, so I won't go through it here. I'll jump into one that we have ready already. And this is one about research. This was about retail experiences and innovation. So this was quite a long topic. So the topic, and you always have this over here, the project details that you can kind of have a look at. This was a topic about understanding the latest innovations in retail store experiences from around the world. So how was technology being integrated into physical store environments? What retail store design innovations were improving kind of experiences for customers, and what's kind of the most chatter that's happening in the marketplace. So quite a big topic and really relevant to people who might be innovating experiences, particularly in the in-store or online retail space. So for this particular topic, the AI will create just a general overview. So first up, it will create almost like replicating a piece of desk research, and it will take about 10 minutes. So it will go away and it will give you all of the key trends and things that are happening in the retail marketplace around the world. And you can see some interesting things here. So I don't even know how you say this word, but digital retail, which is the blend of physical and digital shopping experiences, like a key trend coming through, pop-ups, all of those things. So this is all just kind of pulled all that information together for you. But then where it gets really fun is it starts to create these virtual audiences. And if I try that, so this is an example here. This is Sophie. She's a tech enthusiast. It gives a little bit of a persona around who Sophie is. And Sophie represents a group of, I guess, customers, or a group of a customer segment that exists out there in the marketplace. And it tells us a little bit about Sophie's pain points, her behaviors and her goals, and then just an overview in and around the types of questions that we've actually asked Sophie as well, to understand what she likes, what she doesn't like, those types of things. And you can see overall we create about 8 personas per topic. We can create more, we can create less, but 8 gives a really good feel for different marketplaces. You can see, depending on what we've asked the AI to do, there'll be different types of shoppers in here. So we've got traditional, we've got virtual, we've got digital native type shoppers coming through. So each of these shoppers have all been asked some questions. So these can be AI generated questions, or as a user, you can add additional questions in. So here's an example of an additional question we've asked in as well as the original topic. So can you describe a recent retail store experience where you notice the use of emerging technology? So the AI will help recommend those. It will theme and code the answers to them as well. But the most fun thing about this particular product is you can then start chatting with these personas. So say you've got a new idea in and around a product, you can start interacting and chatting with them. And here's one I did earlier. So I picked up Sophie, who was our tech enthusiast. I kind of, hi, Sophie, and then tell me about what makes a great experience for you. You can see Sophie's given me the things that are important for her. And then I can start asking about what kinds of stores or brands give these great experiences. And we can do this, we can pick any of the personas we want to talk to, or we can actually talk to them all together. And we can start really essentially understanding what's driving behavior. It's like having our users or our customers essentially at our fingertips, and we can just start interacting with them as we go. We can build up
Yeah.
persona libraries, so sets of consumers for you, so they're available for you to kind of go back to. And as I said, we're fueling this at the moment with both data that our users upload, but also data that we pull from public sources. And then in the future, we'll be enriching it more with the data that sits within the YouGov profiles and brand index products as well. So it's a very powerful and exciting product.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. And do you, I guess I was trying to understand how you encourage your clients to approach using this. So, should I feel like I've done, essentially this is accurate for what's out there in the research, and so we've got it, or it's like this is a indicator, and I do more, or I guess I didn't know how people are using this right now and how they're thinking about this.
Uh, yeah, so it depends on, I guess, as I said, it really depends on the product or the topic that
Yeah.
you're researching. But if you're starting out a project, you kind of want to understand, or you have a reasonably good knowledge of a particular area and you want to track it or test ideas with it, that's a great use case for the virtual
Mm-hmm.
audience product. So at the moment, we're getting a lot of people using it to replace a lot of desk research or the buying of big
Mm-hmm.
reports that they might have done that track an industry. So that's kind of number one. Number two is some concept testing. So a lot of concept testing or idea testing is going through the virtual audience product. Segmentation work, so where you might have kind of traditionally done a big, 2 to 3 months piece of segmentation work, we
Mm-hmm.
can often get segments that are very close through the virtual audience product a lot faster for you. Or if you've already done a segmentation product, but you want those segments to kind of feel like they're living inside of your business, we can take them and we can replicate them inside of Yabble and then have them kind of live on as you develop your products and ideas. We can go back and kind of use those segments to innovate with you.
No, really, really. I guess with, when I'm imagining, oops, I'm sorry, our
Sorry, I was just
our clients using this kind of thing, one of the things I guess I was going to ask you was just, is there anything that you've been most surprised about the how people are using this, or case use cases that you didn't anticipate?
Uh, so I'm constantly amazed by how sophisticated the tool can be. So
Mm,
we obviously did a lot of R&D and testing, but the other day we had a customer, for example, that really wanted to try and use some of your more, I guess, traditional qualitative techniques or projective techniques like personification, but also projection. And a lot of people say AI can't do those things, but we actually had the virtual audiences imagining future worlds. So they were kind of imagining 5 years into the future where they were living their best life and describing that for us
mm,
so that we could then understand kind of what their ideal kind of benefits or features would be. And then
mm,
we got them to contrast it with their existing life and what was different. So we could truly kind of focus in on a lot of those pain points and understanding. And that that was the first time we'd done that with the virtual audience product, and I was absolutely delighted with the quality that was coming out of that and the insight that was coming from it. And then also brand personification. So we can do quite a lot of personification work around understanding brand personalities and positionings through the AI, which I think historically people would have said wouldn't be possible, but it actually does a really good job of that as well.
Kathryn, do folks use this? I guess I clearly see the benefits for the sort of consumer product kind of world writ large. Have you done so? For example, we work with scientists sometimes, or lawyers who do very specialized work. Is this suitable for that kind of sort of B2B side of the world?
Yes, it is actually, and we actually get quite a lot of requests for it in B2B because those audience groups can be much harder to reach or much more expensive to reach, or there's just a really small catchment of them and they get over researched through traditional methods. So we can build up specialist audiences. Depending on how niche the audience is, we might request that you provide us with some historic research that we can use to kind of enrich those personas with, just to help the AI get a really good depth of understanding. But no, we've had good success with quite niche B2B audiences. So I feel really confident in that space.
Huh. Wow. I felt sort of overwhelmed, and where do I even start? I've pictured myself being up all night, asking questions. So very cool. Well, I did want to take a moment. It's clear that you're a sophisticated researcher yourself. And so how did you go from being the researcher to being the person creating this new product? So what inspired you to make this product and for this field?
So I guess I'm probably a natural innovator. So innovation's kind of in my blood, and I'm always either a blessing or a curse, I'm not sure, but always looking for new and different ways of thinking about problems and finding solutions. And technology's always been a real passion of mine, and how we can use technology inside the insight space, because I look at organizations and I see the wealth of data that they sit on, and I often used to break my heart when I'd see research reports kind of sitting on a shelf, and then organizations kind of repeating research instead of using research that they had. So
Yeah.
the real motivation was to make insight and customer understanding and access to data a lot easier and faster. And people use the word democratize a lot, but ultimately it was opening up, and the ease in which anyone within the organization could start to understand data and mine data. And that was what was driving a lot of the initial innovation behind Yabble.
Got it. And I do want you to put on that innovation and what's next kind of mindset for a moment. I'm actually, I thought it's been really interesting to ask folks, like, how do you see Yabble, your product, and I guess with YouGov too now that it was acquired by YouGov, how you see this sort of evolving in the next few months and longer? And later, next I'd like to think about how does this whole research world change because of the tools and technologies like yours that are available. So I guess that's two-part question, but I'll let you go. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, for the last 12 months, we've been really focused on data augmentation, and it has lots of different names in the industry, whether you call it synthetic data or virtual audiences or data augmentation. And I truly believe that is kind of, especially for in the near future anyway, where and how the industry will continue to innovate. So just opening up access to data and bringing lots of data together to create new and different insights is the area that I'm truly passionate about, and where I think we'll continue to see a lot of innovation, because there's just so much richness of data out there in the world right now. It's about really opening up access to it. So that's kind of one area. The other is for me, I think a lot of the new AI that's coming just makes the ability to do much more complex analytics with data a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
So whether we're using agent models to do that, it's almost kind of like having a data scientist in our pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So the types of data that we can start to interact with and analyze through natural language, be it voice or text, will become more and more prevalent, I think, in the marketplace. And then for those people who are much deeper into, I guess, qualitative research or interview research, a lot of the multimodal tools will really start to come into their own. And we're starting to see that happen already. But the true kind of commercialization of mixing lots of different types of data together to create insight, and whether that's emotion from voice, whether it's facial or body language, all of those things will start to become a lot easier to combine into simplified research products.
Interesting. So you actually mentioned the notion of democratization. Do Will there still be an insights group? Does that make sense, or is it that everyone will be a researcher? How do you see this sort of evolving?
Uh, that's an interesting question, and I'm not sure I truly know the answer to it. But
Right.
I think there's always going to be a need for someone to be the champion of the customer within an organization, and
Mm-hmm.
whether that's the product team and the insight team. I think that the probably the use of data and insight will be broader across an organization. But the need for people to innovate and make sense of that data is still a really important part of any organization. And that's where that, I guess, when we talk about being able to kind of work at the speed of thought, that's where we see AI and insight really supporting to kind of people within an organization. It's taking away all that manual processing and just really freeing up all of the thinking time and
Mm-hmm.
this, giving back that time for strategy through product innovation, because we're taking all the barriers to data and insight away.
Yeah, so interesting. Well, thank you. And I have to stop at some point, so I think I will here. But just in general, how can folks try this if they wanted to get started?
Absolutely. So just come to our website, which is yabble.com, and it's yabble.com for those who can't understand my lovely Kiwi accent. And just book a demo with one of our team. It will kind of route you to the right team member from anywhere in the world. And yeah, we'd love to get you started. We can bring some data. We've got really easy kind of options in terms of getting started for independents, as well as much more kind of volumetric based solutions for big enterprise customers as well.
Cool. Well, I always feel like the sign of a great interview is that I feel like I've learned so much, and I definitely have with you, Kathryn. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And let me just sign us off. So thank you for sharing this, and that's all for today. Um, if there are other things you're interested in, please subscribe and let us know in the comments about other things you're thinking about with tools you'd like to see next or questions about this product. And we're wishing you brilliant insights with AI.